Being chased through the woods by a killer is bad enough, but have you ever thought how much worse it would be if you couldn't move? That's the question Netflix's new Sam Raimi produced thriller Don't Move asks. Don't Move is directed by Brian Netto and Adam Schindler, whose previous work includes some obscure no-budget horror movies and a live-action short based on the Killing Floor video game. It stars Kelsey Asbile as the main character Iris, a woman placed into this perilous situation whilst gripping with the death of her young son, and Finn Whitrock as the killer. I cannot remember seeing Finn Whitrock in anything. I may have seen him in a movie here or there. Apparently he's been on a lot of soap operas or something. And Kelsey Asbile is also on the Midwest dad soap opera Yellowstone, which I also have not seen. But looking at her IMDb, she played a character I had a crush on as a kid in the Disney series Two Kings. Now, when I heard the concept of this film, I was dreading it being feature length. This sounds like something much more suited for a short film. I pictured a super boring film that would consist of the main character being paralyzed and there just being a bunch of flashbacks for an hour. But instead, the film was a solid little thriller. It's not great, and there's a lot of issues, but the film is definitely an enjoyable way to kill some time. A movie where a character can't move seems like it would get old fast, but there is a good variety of set pieces and locations. The movie is constantly refreshing itself every 20 minutes or so. I thought the movie did a good job of building tension. You fear for the main character, and there's an extremely visceral reaction to picturing yourself in a situation where you would be completely helpless. I would call it a bit body horror-ish, not in the traditional Cronenberg sense, but in the fact that your own body is betraying you and you can't rely on it. There are some plot contrivances to get the characters to each scene, but they are excusable for a film with this concept. It's not a plot-heavy film, but rather one that puts you into a horrific situation. The main character is forced entirely to rely on the whims of strangers for the majority of the film, unable to communicate outside of blinks and eye movements. This is after a stranger forced her into this terrible situation in the first place. The movie is shot okay, nothing amazing. There was some really clever framing I really appreciated, like seeing characters' faces only through a side view mirror on a car, and the like. I can easily imagine a version of this movie that is either found footage or faux found footage, with a bunch of shaky cam, so at the very least I appreciate it not doing that. Like I said earlier though, this movie has some problems. I had a big issue with the acting and the dialogue, which I thought was bad. Have you ever watched a movie where you enjoyed it except when the actors start talking? If you haven't, then watch this movie and you know what I mean. Lindsay Asbile did a good job of the physicality of the performance when she's slowly losing or regaining control of her body, but when she is speaking, her performance is very melodramatic and over the top. You get the feeling like you're watching someone pretend to be scared rather than someone who is actually fearing for their life. It would have benefited from a more subdued and naturalistic performance as opposed to one that is so over the top. Finn Whitrock is absolutely terrible as a serial killer. His performance reminds me of one of those TikTokers who pretend to be crazy. He's not intimidating and you never believe him as a killer. His character reminded me a lot of Josh Hartnett's character in Trap, as they are both characters who use their status as a normal guy to manipulate and kill people. Josh Hartnett is much better in that sort of role though, and the killer in this just comes off as suspicious when he's trying to talk his way out of stuff. And his fake story never changes even though the situations do, and he looks increasingly more suspicious as the movie goes on, and the story that he tells strangers has absolutely no flexibility whatsoever. He will not change the story, he's locked into it, and it makes him look so uncharismatic because no one is ever buying it. This is unlike Trap, where Josh Hartnett is constantly changing his story to manipulate people, and I love seeing people manipulate and con people in movies, so I was left wanting by this film. Also, this movie thinks it's a lot smarter than it is, which is always annoying, and tries to say some stuff about the meaning of life and draw parallels between the killer and the victim, and it's all just very bad and pretentious, and the movie is not smart. It's a fun little movie, but it's not a smart one. Anyway, that's Netflix's Don't Move. It isn't great, but it's decently fun. What's your favorite serial killer movie? Let me know in the comments below, and check out my video on Woman of the Hour to see me talk about another recent Netflix serial killer film. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.